All right, everyone, welcome back to another lesson of Tanya. L'chaim. I tell you, lucky that happened off camera. When we get surround cameras, all your mistakes are going to be caught. Okay. So we are discussing what the Alter Rebbe called. By the way, Gil, if I use too many Hebraic or Yiddish terms, please interject.
Stop the recording.
Yeah. The Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, the author of the book we're learning of Shnei Zalman, we're discussing the Beinoni, which is the middleman, the regular man, and he's saying this regular man is a person who never gives in to the impulse to do something that he shouldn't. And that giving into the impulse means not in thought, not in speech, not in action. The only time he will experience this almost otherworldly or level of what a tzaddik, a righteous man, feels, where he doesn't feel any pull, any draw towards indulgences or desires, is when he's in a state of prayer. But the moment prayer is over, he reverts back to being a normal guy. Why is that? So the Alter Rebbe we're going to say today is because a person naturally, normal, has his impulse for good and his impulse for not good. But not good, by the way, doesn't mean you're committing a crime. Not good means you're doing it just to make yourself feel good. I mean, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just eating 18 rugelach.
You're doing it to pleasure your animal soul.
Right. And we discussed I think we discussed two classes ago that your impulse and your drive to do good and bad is a muscle. So think of it as like waking up in the morning to go to the gym. And the first time, this is an abstract concept for me, but
You got this. Come on. You were drinking water last time. You got this.
So the first time is hard. Second time it's hard, but you keep doing it, it gets easier. And when you stop, it's a lot. To restart is a lot harder, because when you accustom yourself in a certain path of activity, it gets easier. But most normal people don't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh yeah, I don't want to sleep. I want to get up and go to the gym." Most people are like, "Damn it, alarm clock went off, but no, I'm going to get up and go to the gym." And most people on a diet are not like, hamburgers, deep fried onions, whatever it is, disgusting. No, it's good. I'm trying to make a healthy choice. Same thing in the Beinoni. The Beinoni never for one moment thinks, "Oh no, chocolate cake. I can never eat chocolate cake." No, he still has that drive inside of him to do things just because it makes him feel good. Why? Because he has two equal voices. So this is why Rabbi Jacobson gave the classes. He called it a tale of two souls. You have two consciousness inside of you. One's pulling towards holy things, and one's pulling towards selfish things. Let's go. Rak, where I read the Hebrew ending. Rak only yet loy levadi mishpat hamlucha, because the animal soul is not a soul of authority. Does not have dominion over the city. So yes, it expresses its opinion and its desire for cake and cookies and regalach. But it does not have the ability to implement its desire from potential to actual action. We explain in chapter 4 that you have your soul power, so to speak, your drive, but then you have the expression of that drive. The expression of the drive is thought, speech, and action. And we said last week and 2 weeks ago, there's a difference between thought and thinking. A thought pops into your head. Thinking is you are dwelling on it. It's an action. Well, not when whether in deed, speech, or thought. Now, you realize, usually the Alter Rebbe will say thought, speech, action. Here, he says speech, action, speech, thought. Why? Because the easiest thing to stop yourself is from doing something. That's the least amount of self-control. I could always not do it. It's harder not to say something. It's even harder not to think something. So those are the three gradual progressions in self-control. You make first action, then speech, then thought. Lahambik machshavta, so he can stop himself from delving deeply in the pleasures of this world. So the Alter Rebbe over here is describing what constitutes active thought. You have a desire for ice cream. So every once in a while you say, no, I can use an ice cream right now. The question is, and you say, nah, I don't need an ice cream. Or you can say, no, how am I going to get that ice cream? That ongoing thought, that's called thinking. You're dwelling in it. How do I get to fulfill that drive, the pleasure inside of me? So the Beinoni's drive for worldly pleasure will cause the thoughts of such matters to rise from the heart to the mind. These thoughts are beyond his control, beyond the sphere of dominance of the divine soul. He can control, however, his actual conscious and will. So now the Alter Rebbe is going to answer a question. How? How can a person be expected to always be in control of his faculties? Isn't it not fair? Here you're telling the person, in any fight, sometimes the other guy's going to win. Remember there was a whole discussion going way back when there was a time the Jacksonville Jaguars were bad, but like pitiful bad. And Alabama football is doing amazing. So one guy said, we should make a game between Jacksonville Jaguars and Alabama. So one commentator said, you have no idea the difference between the NFL and college. So Alabama would not stand a chance. They wouldn't score a point. So not once. They can replay at every single time, and Alabama would never score a point. That's how you don't understand the difference between the NFL But here, it's not Alabama versus Jacksonville. The godly soul is powerful. The animal soul is powerful. And the Alter Rebbe is saying that you have the ability to exhibit self-control 100% of the time. Seems like a tall order, to high ask. So the Alter Rebbe is introducing something to us here now in 176. And this is the fundamental teaching of the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, which is a person's natural tendency is self-control. A person his natural ability is to control himself. That is actually the definition of a human being. Self-control. An animal does what he wants, whenever he wants. On the most crude level, an animal has to go, it goes. Human beings, we have bathrooms. You don't just take whatever you want. It's just not natural. We don't just say whatever we want. A human being's natural tendency is self-control. The question only is, how much do you utilize that natural? How much are you acting like an animal? And how much are you acting like a human being? So, I think, we haven't discussed this in a while, so we'll bring it up. When God created Adam, Dylan, we're going to go with that line of.
It's your show.
If you want, you can come here. Sorry, it was too easy. When God created Adam and he created the animals, so Adam was afraid. Adam was afraid of the animals, of all these predators, and so God said, as long as you act like a human being, you nothing to worry about. Because if you look at Genesis chapter, I think it's in chapter 2 or at the end of chapter 1, God tells Adam, and the fear and awe of the animals will be upon you. That means naturally animals fear human beings. So why do animals attack human beings? So Kabbalah says something interesting. It's because when the animals look at the human being, they sense another animal. They don't sense a human being. So there's a story in the Bible, in Tanakh, of the king Nebuchadnezzar, that puts Daniel, the prophet Daniel, in a lion's den. He comes back. It doesn't feed the lions. Comes back 3 days, and Daniel's still there. Animals haven't fed him, haven't eaten him. So they ask him, it's a miracle. I mean, yeah, for us bums, it's a miracle. But Kabbalah explains it wasn't a miracle. Daniel was a human being. He exemplified what a human being should be, a person that has self-control. It's actually another story that happened only a few hundred years ago. A good few hundred years ago. That there was a man in Israel. He was a saintly man, and the community in Israel was going through a famine. They were very poor. It's not like now, I go to Israel, everything's very expensive. The Jewish community in Israel has been poor for hundreds of thousands of years. They sent him to Turkey, Syria, I forgot where, to collect money. And to this place where he went, the king had his own private zoo. This was I think London started out that way also. I think if you go to the Tower of London in Buckingham Palace, they have like metal-shaped animals, because the kings would have their own private exotic animals. So somehow he comes and everybody's running all over the place. What's going on? So the Sultan or king's lions got out of the cage and they're roaming the streets. So he walks over to the lion and he grabs it by its mane and starts walking with it. And then he finds out the lion, and everyone's watching how this man is just walking with the lions, walking it as if you're walking in, a dog, and walks it back. And the Sultan was very impressed, whatever. But the purpose, to us it's a miracle. But the Alter Rebbe is saying it's not a miracle. That's the way it's naturally supposed to happen. The problem with us is we become so jaded. We're so used to people just giving in to every impulse, and because it's pleasurable, do it. Then when a person exhibits self-control, like, oh wow, he's a prude, or he's a nerd, or no, that's the way he's supposed to be. You guys ever watch Schindler's List? No? You ever watch Schindler's List? So in Schindler's List, there's a very powerful scene there, where Oscar Schindler, the actor's playing him, is trying to convince the guy who's playing Amon Goeth, the head of the commandant of the camp, to stop killing Jews, stop killing people. And he goes through a whole thing, and he explains to him that true power is when you have the ability to exercise the power to hurt somebody, and you don't. That's power. In Pirkei Avot, it says, who is a really strong person? Somebody has the ability to control yourself. If, let's say you're rich, and a person, God forbid, is an addict, right? And he can buy himself drugs, alcohol, and everything else, and he can't control himself. You envy such a person? An addict is a slave to his own desires. What makes a person human is his ability to exhibit self-control. Now, what the Alter Rebbe is saying here is this is not something that is for only the higher ups. Every person can have self-control. But that's naturally your state. Your natural state is self-control. Because the mind, what makes us human? The mind. Every...
I was just giving you the
What do you say about the raccoons? Did you see that video, by the way? The raccoons, like, walk into a guy's backyard, turn on the light, all of a sudden a raccoon does this, like, like hands up kind of thing. So he's saying is that what makes us human is our mind, our impulse. That's animalistic. That's what we said. The godly soul rests in our mind. The animal soul rests in our heart. That's what he says at page 176. How do we do this? He says, because the mind, shalit, rules ala lev, on the heart. And he says, and he adds a very, very important 3 words there. Bultaldusai, by virtue of its nature, by its innately created nature. You don't have to work to. It's not a learned activity. It's in you. We don't go, oh wow, that person can walk. No, that's what we do. That's the way a person is created from birth. Call Adam. Now you might say, but kids are selfish, and kids are brats. Kids are mean. Can you tell I have kids at home? And they're obnoxious and they're messy. But so why is it? So it's because in the beginning, kids feel their bodies very, very much. They have to be taught and educated to not that they can't. It's a learned exercise. They have to learn to look past themselves. I once read somewhere that when we're born, our hands like this, and when we die, our hands like this. Why? Because when we're born, we think everything's for me. You're grabbing it, everything's for me, right? Kid wakes his parents up in the middle of the night. He doesn't care. He needs food. He needs something now, right? Parents try to go to the bathroom. The kid's knocking on the door, right? All they want is 2 seconds, right? They don't care. But not bad. They don't see it. As we get older, we realize that life is all about giving, and in the end, we realize we can't take anything with us.
Right. We're back to this.
Right.
Baruch Hashem, if we're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end, we realize we can't take anything with us. So our hands, are open. But the natural state of a person, Shekol Adam, every single person, Yachal is able, but it's if he wants to. He has it in his will and his mind, least apik, to restrain himself, feel limshal, and to control Baruch Tavasei Shebelivai, in the spirit, and any desire that comes. So think of something that you recently did. You don't have to say it out loud. Maybe you shouldn't have done it, right? Something we'll go something you've eaten, right, or something you said. Being honest with yourself. You couldn't have stopped yourself. You could have. You just chose or didn't think about whatever. But if you want, no one put a, so to speak, put a gun to your head and said eat it or else. You chose to eat it. You chose to say it. Whatever action is, but if thinking, you couldn't. To get a little bit controversial, we have a lawyer here. What do you think the Torah says about temporary insanity?
It's temporary.
Is that a good? Is that a good defense?
I'm gonna guess no, based on the context of the previous 15 minutes.
Listen,
There's no such thing as temporary insanity.
Well, actually, we're gonna get there. Actually,
okay.
No, but based on what we're saying now, what do you mean you lost control?
Jack.
Right?
But
Too much
different-
TV.
Different states have different standards for, there's murder, there's manslaughter. Some states have negligent homicide.
Well, no, but negligence is not temporary insanity. Negligence, no. We believe the Torah believes in negligence. Sometimes people could be criminally negligent. I mean, yeah, you didn't mean to happen, but you should have foresaw what the circumstances were going to be. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I couldn't control myself. I had to. What do you mean? What do you mean you couldn't control yourself? That's not a defense. I mean, I saw the iPhone. I couldn't. Even the truth is, these days it's very easy to steal. They don't stop you.
Yeah. Some people stuff their whole pants full.
There's a video of a guy walked into I want to say California because it's easy to pick on that state. Guy walked in put 40 something iPhones into his pants.
Yeah.
Why would 40
He was really
iPhones
impressed.
be
I'm glad
out
he
on
got
the counter?
his.
Right.
The whole store, they just have them out.
No.
Because in
They're like
California,
that.
the threshold is
Well, just rip them off. They have
Yeah, they were- yeah,
and
yeah.
a security
Well,
device.
they do. It's like a smash and grab.
Right.
So like 15 of them will just ransack the store,
All
grab
right.
everything they can and
They
run
do it
out.
in a bunch of
So
stores now.
I say, but the point is, imagine the guy came in front of the judge and said, I couldn't help it. I saw the iPhone. I couldn't help it. You imagine a guy cheats on his wife. She said, why did you do it? I couldn't help it. She was so beautiful. See how well that argument goes down. I mean, the idea that you couldn't help it, it's not an argument. Why? Because what do you mean? Of course you could have. Did you see that clip of a guy who was accused of stealing a Miami Dolphins jersey? He shows up to court wearing a Miami Dolphins jersey. I promise you. It's on video. You guys see it.
How do you find time to do your rabbi?
I'll say, but
He's on Rabbi TikTok.
exactly. So, but it's important. But I know, not talking about crime and things bad. We one of the messages, at least for me, that I always take from the Tanya is you have to be honest with yourself. It's not that you made a mistake. We all make mistakes. It's not like you give in to your indulgences and desires. We all do it, except the Tzadikk and the Beinoni. But all regular people do it. The question is, when you're thinking back at that moment, do you excuse yourself away and say, lost control, sorry, I had... Or do you say, yeah, I should have had control of myself, but I didn't exercise my control. It's a totally different mindset. What the Alter Rebbe is telling you over here is everyone has the ability to control yourself. You're not preventing his heart's desire from finding expression, maisa, in action, dibur, machshava, whether in action, speech, or deed. And to divert your attention, to divert your attention from when your heart craves to the opposite direction. Let's say you're in the store and some guy's trying to sell you, a Lexus or a TV, right? I really want that TV. And all of a sudden you get a phone call, a very important phone call, right? It could be a good phone call, a very important business phone call. All of a sudden you're not thinking about the TV, but the car, because you have to handle this. What happened? Your heart was wanting that TV. Your heart was wanting that Lexus. What happened? You stopped thinking about it. And I think I quoted here before that I once heard a guy say, so anytime I want something, I wait till tomorrow to see, do I really want it, or do I need it? Okay, I mean, you could want what you need also, but this is what we're saying. So you can change the channel in your mind, because you know what the heart, what the animal soul is. It's like cable now. You get like 280 channels. If no one's watching, the channel's still on. They're still broadcasting. What do? You change the channel. Something comes on. You don't like it. You change it. Same thing is.
Or you don't get cable.
Or you don't get cable, right?
Yeah, you're just pirating it. You're right.
Yeah.
Nope.
Did you see that? Did you see that video of the Ring video of a guy in England? He goes over to his neighbor.
How many videos
Oh,
do you
yeah,
get
I've
to
seen
watch,
that one.
Rabbi?
You see that?
I've seen that one. Oh, he wants the
I agree
Wi-Fi.
with my
Yeah,
comment.
this guy was using his neighbor's Wi-Fi for years, and the guy finally put a password on it, and the neighbor has the chutzpah, the gall to go. Yeah, it's like, but I've been using it. I need it.
He was really nice about it. He was just like, I don't understand why I can't use it.
Yeah,
It
it wasn't
like I was using it before, and now I can't. So, whatever you did to change it, the little Wi-Fi that was coming out, I don't see why.
So the guy's like it slows down my Wi-Fi, but he can't. He's like, but how come? But now I don't have Wi-Fi. He can't understand that it's not his. So we all have the ability to change the channel. It sounds oversimplistic, but it kind of is. Ubefrat and continue. Ubefrat and especially, particularly al tzaddik kedusha, to direct it in the direction of holiness. When motivated by the knowledge that his lustful thoughts are sinful. Not that it's gray or who cares. What he's going after is actually destructive, and instead now he can invest in something good, like that scene from I think it's Mary Poppins, where the guy tries to get the kids to invest the money in the bank. Right? So he says, you can take this money, you put it in the bank, and it grows. He says, I don't want to put the kids like I don't want to put the money in the bank. I want to buy something else. So that's what's going on. Our animal soul says, put the money in the bank, get dividends, and it'll grow, and you'll become a much wealthier spiritual person. Animal soul says, what? That's tomorrow. You gotta. Did you see? There was an article. How much it cost the Super Bowl tickets? There was an article I read. how much it would cost for family of 4 to go to the Super Bowl weekend, flying in from Kansas City, I think it was, because to Las Vegas.
$60K.
I think $36,000. $36,000 for Friday through Monday. That's flight, hotel, show, restaurants, tickets. Right? And this is not this is not kosher food. So the animal soul says, yeah, let's blow $36,000 in the Super Bowl. And the godly soul says, you put that $36,000 in a CD or 401k, you can start seeing. Listen, if I told you, you do something today, you think no one wants when they're retired, $1 million? You think no one wants that money? Everybody wants to retire and be comfortable. Everybody wants it. But why aren't we investing? Because we're living in the now. The animal soul has us living in the now, in the present. The godly soul says, invest your money, but not invest your money, invest in activities that are worthwhile. Stop throwing your and stop throwing your time away. And if you think about it, Dylan, you're worse than Michael J.
That's enough.
So
we now have my apprentice.
Exactly. Yeah, prodigy.
No.
So if you think about it, it's not a hard decision, l'chaim. It's a very, very easy decision. See, and we're going to learn later on what the Yetzer Hara does to you. He tries to compare blowing money on, let's say, on something stupid, and investing. Oh, it's the same thing. You're going to feel good. It's really not the same. Doing something good and worthwhile is a lot better than doing something temporary and stupid. It's when we think about it. When you think about it, the decision becomes crystal clear. But the Yetzer Hara, the animal soul, doesn't want you to think. Wants you to act. The moment you think, your rational self, intellectual self takes over, and you think, do I want to do something eternal? Because when you do a mitzvah, nothing can take that away. Yeah, the moment you're doing the mitzvah is temporary, but the impact is eternal for yourself, for your family, for your soul. So it's very easy. You could exceed, and like King Solomon said, this is on the bottom of 177. I don't know where it is in the new print.
182.
As is written, King Solomon said, "V're'isi," and I saw, "Sheyesh yisarin l'chachmam and sichlas," that the difference between wisdom and folly, the wisdom surpasses folly, ki yisrei na'ar min ha'chayshach, like light surpasses darkness. How much better is light better than dark? I don't know. Infinitely better. How much better is wise and stupid? Infinitely better. So the decision to do something good and holy, to do something lustful and idiotic, it's not on par. So clearly, let's read a note. Clearly, the use of the analogy indicates that a difficult and unfamiliar idea is to be clarified by comparison with a simple and familiar one. However, nothing seems to be gained by equating wisdom and folly with light and darkness. Both are equally comprehensible. Comprehensible. Even assuming that the reference here is a deeper aspect of wisdom, namely holiness, as Ecclesiastes' depiction of man's inclination for good as the poor and wise child, and refers to evil as the old and foolish king. And the reason why King Solomon does that is because it says in Kabbalah that a person first gets his animal soul, his evil inclination, and only later by bar mitzvah, as he grows older, he has a good inclination. So the evil inclination has a running head start. So he's called an old king, and the good inclination is a young child, but because he's young in age, so to speak. But the child is the wise one. He's telling you what to do. The king is the foolish one because he's leading you on the path of destruction. There's still no need for an analogy. Clearly, holiness is vastly superior to evil. Rather, the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain the analogy is used here to illustrate how wisdom is superior to folly. The superiority of light over darkness is manifest in its ability of a tiny ray of light to banish a great deal of darkness. If you're in a pitch black room, you light a small candle, you can see it. And darkness, I think, by the way, this is a whole discussion in science. Is darkness a substance?
It's conditioned.
It's a lack of light.
It's just the absence of.
Absence of.
Yeah.
Right. So the immediate introduction of light, it automatically goes away. So light and darkness don't really contend with each other. So he's saying, furthermore, the light need not battle the darkness to banish it. The darkness disappears in a matter of course with the appearance of light. In the same way, the wisdom of holiness superior to the folly of evil. So the beauty of Torah, the beauty of the Jewish lifestyle, is so far superior to any other societal method of behavior over the course of the centuries. It doesn't stand a chance. And if you think about it, I could do a mitzvah, and we're going to talk about this in further chapters. You could do a mitzvah and connect to God, right? Because this is God's will. When you do something for somebody, you are connecting to them. I asked you to do something, and you're doing it. That makes a connection. I asked you not to do something, and you do it anyway. That severs a connection, or compromises the connection. I want to say severs. So when you do a mitzvah, when you have a chance to do a mitzvah, you are connecting to the Creator, the ultimate being. What is comparable to that? Chocolate cake, cookies, Super Bowl. I mean, maybe it's a good game, man. Right? You had any money on the game? You won? Baruch Hashem.
You're giving part of it to the Chabad?
Yeah, bar the doors.
Yeah, like a dollar though.
Yeah.
25 to 150.
Yeah. Pirush, this means, we're going to finish here to the next stop. Pirush, this means, just like light has superiority, power, and dominion over the darkness, a little bit of physical light banishes a great deal of darkness. It automatically is displaced. Darkness is automatically displaced by light. The same thing is pushed automatically. Much foolishness shall clip of a sitter the clip or the covering of holiness is automatically pushed away. It's automatically pushed away because there is no comparison. And B'Kamayim Razal, except, and here we're going to get to where I set you up for before. Where are we? 183?
Bottom of 183.
Bottom of 183 in a new print. Elim ke nichnas b'ruach shtos, only if a spirit of insanity enters you. There's a line inside that in the Gemara Sota, we're going to talk about this later, that a man does not perform a sin only if he suffers from temporary insanity. Which means, if the choice between one and the other is so readily available, it's so readily recognizable, and a person makes a bad choice, what's wrong? A person who drinks bleach or ammonia instead of orange juice or Fresca, that's not a choice. Something's wrong with the guy. The guy's crazy. There's obviously something in his head that's saying, I think I'm going to drink that. His brain is not working properly. Because if his brain was working properly, he would readily see one's good, one's bad. So now we're going to get back to that whole line in the later chapters. Now, how does he have this ability to describe the desires that saw as folly? Because this is because of the wisdom of the divine soul. Because the divine soul, we said, wants to control the person, and he calls the person the city. So the God, it's not that he has no one fighting that impulse. The godly soul, his better self, is fighting that impulse and wants him to partake in better activities. and he wants him to express his thought, speech, and action only in good things, which are, what are the good things? Which are the 613 mitzvahs to noter. So in the Beinani, the desire of the divine soul in the brain that all alone pervades his thought, it alone will pervade the thought, speech, and action, and hence his entire body control the desires of the animal soul. Moreover, it prevents the actual expression. So now we learn what the standard of the Beinani is. The Beinani says, yes, fights and has the impulse, but because he sees every decision as clear as ammonia or water, so then he never sins. Imagine you saw every bad action as ammonia. You saw every godly act as water. You would never sin. What the Yetzer Hara does is he takes a sin and he puts some
Klippot on top.
Some what?
Little sprinkles of klipa on top.
Yeah, that's what it is. You see, he puts some food coloring. It makes it smell good, so you don't know it's ammonia.
Some red number 5.
Exactly, yellow number whatever. So you don't.
What's that song?
So I'm not sure.
Mama number 5. No.
So you don't know what it is. So now.
I don't know what a lot of things are.
No. So I don't know what it is, man. So what the Alter Rebbe now is going to address next week. We're getting into this next week. If the Beinani only does good, right, and every decision he sees it as ammonia or water, and he'll never, in his right mind, choose the ammonia. Why would he? It'll destroy him. Isn't that a tzaddik? He's perfect. The guy's perfect. A tzaddik sees the world as black and white. Okay. The Beinani also sees the world in black and white. Why? How are they different?
And he struggles with his Yetzer Hara.
Right.
He struggles with it.
So Beinani
He wins.
So the Beinani has a struggle. The Beinani doesn't see the world in black and white. Because the Yetzer Hara does a very good job in trying to
But
coat.
he's not an incomplete tzaddik.
No, because the tzaddik doesn't have any. A tzaddik doesn't even have any drive for bad.
But an incomplete tzaddik.
Even an incomplete tzaddik, it's his relationship toward the world, because he has some element, some weird. He never has an impulse. He never has a desire for anything like that.
But that's the difference. Then the Benanim is like tested in this world.
Yeah, but Beinani is tested every day, the entire day. It's not dormant somewhere. It's very, very much. I mean, in any moment, if he's not, very vigilant on top of his game, he can do something that he shouldn't. Any questions? Dylan comes in the middle. Dylan comes in the middle of chapter 12. L'chaim, Dylan, keep coming. Everything will be answered. Have a good week, Dylan. L'chaim.
To Deborah's health.
Amen.